Phineas and Ferb, The Spirit Dimension, Chapter 32, Zorro's Final Showdown. Phineas and Ferb and Perry and Dr. Doofus Smirch were in the underworld inside the cave looking for Zorro the Wizard. "We have to be getting closer to Zorro," Phineas replied. "I have to say this is definitely a weird place to study," Dr. Doofus Smirch replied sarcastically. "Quiet," Phineas whispered panically. Phineas began to hear a voice. "He's up ahead, come on," Phineas whispered panically. Phineas and Ferb and Perry and Dr. Doofus Smirch ran towards the voice. Minutes later, they came across a room in the cave. They saw Zorro reading a book on his desk. "Man, this is a pretty good-looking place for a cave. I do say," Dr. Doofus Smirch whispered sarcastically. Phineas noticed his staff laying behind him. "I'll sneak over and get it," Phineas whispered. Phineas sneaked over towards Zorro's staff. Phineas was about to grab the staff when suddenly Zorro grabbed Phineas by his shirt and held him up to his face. "You think I'm that dumb boy?" Zorro replied sinisterly. Phineas was shaking in fear. Ferb and Perry and Dr. Doofus Smirch gasped in fear. Perry had an angry look on his face and began to jitter angrily. Zorro then picked up his staff and aimed at Phineas. "Don't you move a muscle. If any of you come any closer, kiss your friend goodbye," Zorro replied while laughing sinisterly. Phineas' eyes widened in fear. "No, please don't hurt me," Phineas shouted panically. "Shut up, you little runt. You have sabotaged my leader's plan enough," Zorro replied angrily. Harry quickly flew at Zorro. Harry landed on Zorro's face, causing Zorro to drop Phineas. "Get off me, you rodent," Zorro shouted angrily. Phineas then tried to grab Zorro's staff. Zorro then unleashed his burst spell, sending both Phineas and Perry to the wall. They landed on the floor. "Hey, nobody hurts Perry the platypus except me, Buster," Dr. Doofus Smirch shouted angrily. Suddenly Zorro zapped Dr. Doofus Smirch and Ferb, freezing them solid. "Hey, why don't you pick on someone your own size?" Phineas shouted angrily. "Okay then," Zorro replied sarcastically. Zorro charged up his staff. "Get ready to be turned into ashes, boy," Zorro replied sinisterly. Phineas was shaking in fear. Harry was worried for his friend. He looked behind him and noticed a mirror on the wall. Seconds later, Zorro was ready to fire his staff. "Farewell, boy," Zorro replied sinisterly. Zorro then fired a flaming beam at Phineas. Phineas closed his eyes. Suddenly, Harry jumped in front of the flaming beam with a mirror. The flaming beam hit the mirror, causing it to reflect back at Zorro. Zorro's eyes widened in shock. "Oh crap," Zorro replied in shock. The flaming beam engulfed Zorro in flames. Zorro screamed bloody horror. Minutes later, Zorro was burned to a crisp along with his staff. Phineas opened his eyes. "Harry, you saved my life," Phineas replied in shock. Harry cuddled Phineas lovingly. "Oh, Harry," Phineas replied softly. Suddenly, Ferb and Dr. Doofus Smirch were freed from the ice spell. "Oh, Ferb and Dr. Doofus Smirch, are you okay?" Phineas asked worriedly. "Just a bit of frost bites, but we'll be okay," Dr. Doofus Smirch replied sarcastically. Suddenly, Celestia appeared in front of them. "Oh, that's right, the staff was destroyed. That means you're free," Phineas replied happily. "That's right. Thank you all. I knew you could do it," Celestia replied softly. "Well, Perry was the one who destroyed the staff. He's the one you should thank," Phineas replied happily. "Thank you, Perry the platypus," Celestia replied happily. Celestia kissed Perry in his head. Perry blushed and red. "Now then, next stop is Cubosh," Phineas replied. "That is right. We have to stop him now. He's planning something that is so dangerous. It could be the end of everything," Celestia replied softly. "Let's not waste any more time then. Let's go and stop you bosh, Phineas shouted angrily.